Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be crocheting these Coconut Girl tropical bags. For your materials, you can use whatever's on screen and substitute in things if you like a thinner yarn or a thicker hook, either or. That'll just change how big the holes are. And then you can also follow my free written pattern up on my Instagram, also at Faith.Wisest, totally for free. Every step is listed if that helps you along the way. And with that said, let's get into the video. We are going to begin today's project by making a simple slip knot. And if you guys want, you can click on the link below to get the really slow in-depth tutorial on the bag itself. But just continuing, we're going to run through these steps pretty quickly. You're going to finish your little slip knot here and attach it to your hook. And then you're going to make a chain of 31 if you would like to match the exact measurements of my bag. Of course, if you're doing a different size, go ahead and make this however long you want. Just make sure you write it down so you can remember for when you do your second panel. But for now, my bag will be 31 chains long, so I'll meet you at the end of that row. Before we get into the rows itself, I just want to show you a quick example of what your panel should be shaped like, just so that way you have a reference as we go through the piece. It should be a little bit more rectangular, but pretty square, and then we'll add the handle when it's done. Now moving on to the design itself, I actually wanted to show you what I did to make it. You have two different website options that you can find in the description if you want to make any designs of your own, but to do what I'm doing here, I found a base image, and I ended up plugging mine into pixel art after I went through this other crocheting tool, designing the flower that I want, and that is the flower that I'm going to be teaching you in this video today. Each of the boxes here represent one half double crochet stitch, so your bag will be 30 chains long by 22 rows tall. So just to have that in your mind as we go through the piece, and of course you can always reference the written pattern as well. Now starting row 1, we are going to make a half double crochet. So skip your last stitch and yarn over like so. And now insert your hook into the stitch you want to go into. This will leave you with 3 loops on your hook. You will yarn over and pull through again. Now you will have 3 more loops. Now yarn over and pull through all 3 to get rid of all the loops on your hook. Now you're going to continue making these half double crochets all the way down your row. So we did chain 31 to begin with, that was for that turning chain at the end. And now we are going to go down for 30 total half double crochets. And then when you reach the other side, I will show you how to make row 2. And now just to reiterate, if we're going a little bit fast for this part of the bag, please check out my full-length bag tutorial for a really slow pattern on just basic crochet and basic bag making. Then you can come right back here and I'll show you how to put the design into it. When you reach the end of this row, you are going to do 1 extra chain, just like we did for the original one, and that will be your turning chain. Row 2 is the exact same thing, where you're just going to be placing 1 half double crochet in each stitch all the way down. Just remember to count so that way you have 30 half double crochets. If you end up doing more, it'll make your bag look almost trapezoidal, and if you do less, it'll start to shrink down and become like a pointed triangle. So just be careful, make sure you count, and take this part really slow. And as per usual, if you get stuck on any of these steps, feel free to either leave me a comment down here or reach out to me on Instagram and we can work through it together. Once you have finished row 2, you're just going to do your chain 1 and then half double crochet again for 1 more row of just pink half double crochets all the way down. Remember that you need 30, and remember from this point on, every time you finish a row, you are going to do your 1 turning chain. We now move to row 4, which is our first color switching row. So every time you see CS, it means to do a color switch. What we'll be starting with is 13 half double crochets in your main color. This is important to count very carefully because it will mess up the design if you don't go in the order correctly. So first, do your 13 half double crochets. We're now going to add our first color switch. I'm going to be using a cream color. So start your last half double crochet, so number 13. Do not pull through the last loop. Leave it the way I'm showing you on my hook here. Now, using your next color, pull that through instead of using the yarn that you are already using. Now you can pull nice and tight on your original color yarn and just tighten the secondary color as well. And now you're going to continue down with your new color. It is also important to make sure that you tuck the other color behind your piece and to also make sure that you weave in this new color. So we need 6 half double crochets with our new color here. And as you can see, I'm weaving the tail in between the pink parts and the new yarn that I'm using. So you'll do your 6 half double crochets, and the same way that we left 1 open with the pink yarn before, you're going to leave your number 6 open as well. So do not pull through when you get to your last half double crochet here. Now I'm going to set the cream yarn behind my piece, pull up with my pink yarn, and finish the half double crochet with the pink yarn. It is also important to make sure that you loosen that piece in the back so you don't end up pulling anything too tight. You will not see any of that once your piece is done, so it can look a little messy on the inside. To finish this off, we are going to do 11 more half double crochets with the pink yarn, or just until you reach the other side. Remember that you want to have 30 total half double crochets in every single row. And also remember, you want to finish off with that chain 1. That does not change even though we've added another color. And then we are going to turn our piece around to begin to work on row 5. So we just do our chain, flip our piece, and here we are at row 5. So your pattern for this one is to start with 10 half double crochets with your main color. And I want you guys to look at the picture again here for reference. What we're going to be doing is essentially working backwards down the other end. So if we followed our pattern down right to left in the last row, we're going to be following it down left to right in this row. So essentially just going back and forth. But again, you're going to start with your 10 pink or your main color half double crochets. And remember to leave that last one open so we can do our color switch. So same as before, we are going to switch to our cream colored yarn. The only difference here is instead of tucking your pieces in the back, you want to leave that pink strand in the front, because we want all of our messy parts to be on one side of the panel. Loosen your yarn as you go so nothing gets pulled, and now you'll be doing 8 half double crochets using your cream yarn, or again whatever your secondary color was. Make sure that you leave your last one open, and then we will do our next color switch. We are going to do our color switch again, going into the pink, and remember to pull your work to the front this time, so that way we can have all of our messy bits on this part of the panel. Switch back to your pink, and now to finish off row 5, then you're going to do 12 pink half double crochets, or just until you reach the other side. And remember, I'm just going to say this one more time, make sure you have 30 total in the row, and that you finish off with your chain 1 before you turn. This time when you flip your work around, you'll see that there's no mess, and you just have the perfect start of your design. Now we're going to move on to row 6, where we're going to start with 12 pink half double crochets. Leave your 12th half double crochet open, and now you're going to switch to your secondary color yarn. Remember, keep your work in the back this time, so that way we can keep all this stuff out of the way. Pull things tight, but then also make sure that there's nothing gathering up on itself and tightening your project, and then you're just going to flip it around and move on for 9 half double crochets with your secondary color yarn. And then to finish row 6, do your last color switch back to your main color, and then you will do 9 half double crochets using your pink this time, or again, whatever your main color yarn was. So reach the end, turn your work, and then we'll move on to row 7. Row 7 will be our last example row here because it's going to include a lot more color switching. So you're going to begin with only 9 pink half double crochets, and I'm going to stay with you instead of fast forwarding this part since it's going to be our last big example. So carefully make sure you count out exactly 9, and then just like we were doing before, you'll leave your 9th half double crochet open so that way you can move back to your secondary color for the next part. After you have done all 9 half double crochets, you are going to make sure that you keep your work to the front part of your piece this time, and then switch to your next color so you can move on to doing your color switches. We are going to do only 3 with the cream this time, so very carefully line everything up and adjust your yarn as needed, and then just do simply 3 half double crochets. And then for this one, remember to leave your 3rd half double crochet fully open. You'll then switch back to your pink yarn, or again your main color yarn, for 4 half double crochets with that color. Tighten everything and readjust. As you saw, I got kind of stuck for a second. That's no problem, you can just readjust your hook, and then you'll begin with the next part. So again, we've done 9 pink, then 3 cream, and now we're going back for 4 pink half double crochets. We will leave the 4th half double crochet open, readjust our yarn once more, and now we're going in for just 2 of the cream color ones. As you can see, we're really building up the sides of this bottom petal here. It's like actually starting to take its shape. And what we're going to do is we're going to leave that second accent color, cream color yarn open, and then go in for 2 more of the pink yarn. So we are back in for 2 here, and what you'll notice as we go through this piece is we're essentially forming the bottom of this petal, doing a little separation with the pink yarn, and then we're going to be forming the next petal of the flower. So when it looks like a lot of these numbers, like color switch 1, 2, 3, 4, all these times, it's because we're moving on to another petal of the piece. So after we do our 2 back in the main color, we are going to switch back to the cream one last time, and what we're doing is building the bottom of this petal. We are going to do 5 half double crochets with this color here. Then you'll simply just finish with your pink yarn. So instead of me rambling numbers at you for the next 25 minutes, I've shortened this part to be a picture of what each row should look like, along with the actual pattern itself. So you can reference my Instagram pattern as well, but it might just be easier to keep your screen open and move one at a time. What you're going to be doing is just doing regular half double crochet rows, same way we've been doing them, for the next rows until you reach row 21. So as you can see, follow each picture, pause the video where you need to, take screenshots of any patterns, and of course if you get stuck on a row, some of the more complicated ones like 12 and 13 have a lot of back and forth, please leave me a message. We'll go through those individually nice and short, but for now, use the pattern as it's written here and just let me know if you have any questions. Your last 2 rows, 21 and 22, are just going to be regular half double crochet all the way across with no color switches. And what you're going to do when you're done with your first panel is simply chain 1 and cut your yarn, and then you're going to repeat all of these steps to make your second panel. It is up to you, however, if you want both sides of your bag to have the tropical design. If not, you can simply just go and do your chain of 31 and then just make 22 different rows of plain half double crochets. So once you have completed your second panel, do not tie off and cut your yarn because we're just going to move on to the next step with that connected to your bag still. So for step 6, we want to make sure first that the inside parts of our bag are facing outwards. So you want your messy sides to be facing outside as we go through this part of the project. Situate it like I'm doing here, putting my hook through the top left-hand corner of one of the bags, and then grabbing that open yarn afterwards. So basically use your finished off bag on top and your other one underneath. You can then pull through to create a slip stitch here, and that is essentially how we're going to move all the way around the bag itself. So what I'm going to do is line this up as perfectly as I can, insert my hook through one side of one panel and out the other side of the other panel. Once they're both on my hook, I'm going to make a slip stitch by simply pulling through and then creating a single crochet together afterwards. So I'm going to slip through both bags like this and then finish with a single crochet right across. And I'm going to do that all the way down until both sides of the panel are totally put together. So slip both sides together, finish it off with a single crochet, and finish all the way down that row. When you reach the corners, I recommend adding an extra slip stitch or an extra single crochet into that corner just to make sure that your corners are really tight and nothing can rip or fall through. You're then going to do the same exact thing that we did down the one side, all the way down what would be the bottom of the bag, and then again you're going to turn it until you move all the way up. So essentially you want 3 out of the 4 sides to be sewn together, so that way you have the bag shape where nothing can fall through any of the holes. For step 7, we are going to add our handles, and you can ignore that I've made both of mine already. You're going to do the same steps evenly on both sides. So to begin, we're not going to cut our yarn or do anything after sewing the bag together. We are just going to make 2 slip stitches one after another to actually add a bit of space to our bag. So begin with just doing 2 slip stitches. And then once you've done that, you're going to make a chain as long as short as you want. I recommend going anywhere from 30 to maybe 60, but if you want a really, really long strap, you can add even more than that. Once your chain is done, you are going to count 3 stitches inward from the side, so that way you can line it up this way, exactly how I'm doing it. You're going to then add your slip stitch here to connect the chain to the bag, then slip stitch once over and one more. And now your handle should be pretty much even on both sides. I'm going to chain 1 and then turn my bag fully round and then place half double crochets into each of the chains that I made. This will take me all the way down to the other side, so remember that you want an even amount of half double crochets here to the amount of chains that you made originally, and take that all the way down until you reach the other side of the handle. Once you've made it, you'll slip stitch into the stitch next to the one you just went into, slip stitch again to start off your final row, and then chain 1 and turn it around. From there, you're going to do half double crochets once again, all the way down that row until you reach the other side. That number should be even to exactly the same amount you did before. Once you reach the other side, you're going to slip stitch into the consecutive stitch from last time, then slip stitch once more over to really secure your piece, chain 1, and then finally cut your yarn. Now, like I said, I had both handles here to begin with, but you just want to repeat all those steps onto the other side. From there, you just want to weave in all of your ends by simply either using a darning needle if you prefer it, or you can do what I do here, and I just use my hook through the piece, going back and forth, weaving in each and every individual string that's sticking out. Don't forget to also go to your beginning stitches, as well as that white stitch that you cut earlier when you were doing your design. The final step is to flip your bag inside out, and with that, you are done. Thank you so much for watching today's tutorial. I really hope you enjoyed, and if you did, leave me a like and subscribe. You can also share this with your friends or with me if you want me to see your finished projects, and tag me with any of my links in the description. You can head to my Depop as well, or my Etsy shop if you're looking to buy anything, and you can subscribe for weekly videos and monthly crochet tutorials. I make makeup and gaming content, and just some lifestyle videos as well. Thank you all again, and I cannot wait to see you all next week. Bye-bye!